Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Thank you for tuning in to the T&D World Line Life podcast, produced by Endeavor Business Media, a division of Endeavor B2B. My name is Amy Fischbach, and I'm the head of content for T&D World and also the host of the Line Life podcast. Before I dive into today's episode, I invite you to become part of our Line Life podcast community by searching for the Line Life podcast in your favorite podcasting app or going to linelife.podbean.com and clicking follow in the top right. We air interview-style episodes on the first and third Fridays of each month, and also audio stories in our In Case You Missed It series featuring articles that appeared in our print magazine on the second and fourth Fridays of each month. If you have a comment on this episode or a suggestion for a future guest, please reach out to me. You can email me at afischbach@endeavorb2b.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Lineman World. I'd love to hear from you. Now let's move on to today's episode. The International Linemen's Hall of Fame shines a spotlight on those who have made a difference in the line trade. Over the last few weeks, I featured episodes featuring 3 Hall of Famers. Part 1 highlighted Robert Paget, who retired from Lakeland Electric before starting his own company called Paget Pole Line. He's also a volunteer for the International Linemen's Museum and has his own personal collection of memorabilia related to the line trade. Part 2 featured Lineman Hall of Famer Brandon Wiley, who is now the Regional Director of Training for Qantas Services in the Southeast. In this role, he leads workforce development and safety and leadership training initiatives across multiple operating companies. He also wrote the song Highline Cowboy, which was a song inspired by his life as a lineman. And this song was later featured in Storm Soldiers and Life on the Line, starring John Travolta. For Part 3 of our Hall of Famers series, I featured Bill Bosch, Vice President of Apprenticeship and Client Solutions for Northwest Lineman College. He founded the National Association for Journeyman Linemen, and he also introduced legislation in 2012 to establish the National Lineman Appreciation Day, and also is working to get line workers officially recognized as first responders with the Lineman Legacy Act. For our fourth and final part of our Lineman Hall of Famers series, I'm delighted to feature Susan Blaser from Metropolitan Community College, Kansas City. I met Susan years ago at the International Linemen's Rodeo, and I featured her and her daughter in the Women on the Line series a few years ago, and wanted to feature this interview that I had with her at the 2024 International Linemen's Expo that I've never been able to air until now. Susan Blaser was inducted in the 2020 Lineman Hall of Fame, along with George Godet, Mark Groves, Patrick Lavin, Jim McDonald, and Sam Moore. Here's a little bit about Susan from the International Linemen's Museum Hall of Fame website. Susan was the first female lineman in the state of Missouri. She is hardworking, dedicated, and persevered against less than welcoming circumstances on her way to becoming a lineman in a time when schools were seeking to encourage women entering the field, while others in the line community were hesitant and made the situation more discouraging for any woman hoping to enter the field. Susan did not let this discourage her and went on to complete her training program as a single mother and went on to work as a journeyman lineman for years to come, even doing storm work across Alabama. After years as a journeyman, she accepted a training position at the Metropolitan Community College and has cultivated a successful and safety-filled training regimen. After breaking into a vastly male-dominated field, Susan thrived and excelled where many would have done otherwise. She has excelled in her career and has contacts in the industry across the nation. Also, here's a little bit more about Susan from her LinkedIn profile. With over 4 decades of experience in the utility sector, she has dedicated her career to breaking barriers and empowering the next generation of linemen. Her journey began in the early 1980s with Oklahoma Natural Gas in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and by 1992, she became the first female journeyman lineman at Kansas City Power and Light and the first in the state of Missouri. With a strong foundation built on hands-on experience, she spent a decade in the field, where she honed her skills and devoted the last 3 years to training new apprentices. Transitioning into a management role in the field and technical training department, she focused on designing and delivering training programs, particularly for aspiring linemen. Her passion for education led her to a full-time training position where she developed curricula and provided refresher courses for KCP&L employees. Since 2006, she has been the coordinator of the Lineman program at the Metropolitan Community College Business and Technology campus, where she strives to create pathways for women and diverse candidates in the utility industry. She is committed to connecting with potential candidates and informing them of the abundant opportunities available in the field. In 2021, she was honored to be inducted into the International Lineman Hall of Fame class of 2020, a recognition that underscores her contributions to the profession. Her greatest pride, however, comes from witnessing her daughter, Randi, follow in her footsteps as a journeyman lineman at Ameren, continuing a proud family legacy in a traditional male-dominated industry. In addition to her career in the line trade, over the last 2 years, she's also been renovating historic buildings in Excelsior Springs, Missouri. Her inaugural project involved transforming a 1900 building into an international wine cafe, event space, and Airbnb. And she's also now working on the Colonial Hotel, a landmark from 1924, and restoring the hotel into a 12-room accommodation in Excelsior Springs. And Lineman's Rodeo attendees, if you come in town for the 2026 International Lineman's Rodeo and you want to visit the wine cafe and Airbnbs in Excelsior Springs, they're not far away and there's a lot of history in this little town. So I encourage you to make the visit if possible. Now let's listen in on my interview with Susan at the 2024 International Linemen's Expo. And also stay tuned for my next interview style episode, where I'll be featuring one of her students who I met a year later at the 2025 International Linemen's Expo, and he talks more about the training program available at Metropolitan Community College, Kansas City. Now let's listen in on my interview with Susan. Susan, it's great to have you back as a guest for the Line Life podcast. I always love seeing you and the other instructors and your students at the annual International Linemen's Rodeo Safety and Training Conference. Can you talk about what they learned this year and why you bring them out to this event?
So we bring the students from the Lineman program out every year to come to the Safety Summit conference so that they can learn about new technology, learn about best practices, and most importantly, learn about people's experiences when they've had accidents or fatalities that they've been involved in, to share those stories so that they understand the importance of being present and being aware of when you're out there doing line work and not taking advantage of things just because they become comfortable doing those things.
And they talked a lot about dehydration and heat hazards. And I know that these can really be a challenge, especially for those students just starting out in the line trade. Can you talk about how you keep your students safe in Kansas City when they're working out in the heat in the summers?
So in Kansas City, you never know what you're going to get, but we start the first week in June. So we know we're going to get hot and then hotter. So the students learn, first off, we tell them and emphasize to them, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So hydration, and then, they're getting ready, acclimated to the weather that's outside, identifying those conditions that could be heat strokes or that they could have something going on that they need to get in, cool down before anything goes terribly wrong. I think a lot of it, we do stretches in the morning, and I think that helps out. Then the hydration, make sure that they're drinking. We provide them with electrolytes. We have those packets so that they can use those if they feel like they need to hydrate there.
And then talk about what's going on at Metropolitan Community College right now.
Well, we're in our second semester. They're getting ready to take a break after Christmas, and we'll come back in for our last semester. So right now they are learning how to build single-phase transformer stations off the pole. They're hooking up house services. They're learning how to do terminations and elbows.
Perfect. And how many students do you have in your program, and do you have any women enrolled this year?
So we have 31 students in the program this year. No females.
Okay.
Females last year.
Okay.
I do have a female that applied for next year. So hopefully we'll get another female involved. As of last year, I have 5 female journeymen that have come out of my program. One of them is in street lights, and all the rest of them are journeyman linemen. So 5 in 16 years is good, but for me, it's not good enough. I would like to do 5 a year.
Yes.
I've got 3 more years before I go, and I'd really like to see those numbers go up, and up.
What do you think it's going to take for those numbers to go up, and up?
Word of mouth. It's the females that know females. It's people talking about them, whether they know a lineman, that they have a friend or that's in the family or whatever, talks to them and tells them that this is something they can do. It just takes the rigging and a little bit of different ways of doing the work.
I know one of your daughters is a journeyman line worker for Ameren, Illinois, which is very exciting. Can you talk a little bit about her and what Randy's doing these days?
Randy's doing great. Randy does a lot of overtime. She keeps herself pretty busy, but she's now training apprentices. So she gets to experience what that's like to have those new ones come on. And her emphasis is, common sense, safety, step it up, do what you need to be doing. She has kind of a zero tolerance for lazy. It makes her a good lineman. She's a hard worker.
That's perfect. And Susan, talk about your experiences at the International Linemen's Rodeo. How many years have you been coming, and how do you feel about the 40th anniversary?
I attended my first rodeo in 1990. I attended, then I started judging, then I started bringing my students out here and judging, and now they've got enough judges, so now I get to step back and I bring the students out. They assist the judges, the hurt man rescue event for journeymen and the apprentices. So now I get to kind of oversee them and enjoy the rodeo a little bit more without having to work it.
Yes, that's great. And what did the students think about being out there on the grounds?
Well, they haven't been out there yet.
Okay.
So they'll go out Saturday.
Yeah.
But they're super excited. They know they're going to see the best of the best.
Yes.
And if they want to talk to somebody about a job or an opportunity or what they think of doing line work or, what advice would you give me? They have all those opportunities. It's just phenomenal the way the participants support those students in their dream to be a lineman.
That's fantastic. And how do you think the line trade has changed since you first started in the industry?
They're babies. They're so young. I was looking around in line before I came in here and I thought, how many of these people will I see in 10 years? Because when I came through and you went to the International Lineman Rodeo, you saw the same teams over and over and over.
Right.
You saw the same people that spent 25, 30 years in that career. And I look around now and I think, if you stay in line work for 10 years, that's a pretty good haul. But
yeah,
they change. And my generation didn't.
Right. You just stayed in the career. So how many years did you work out in the field as a journeyman?
So I did 11 years. Counting the apprenticeship, I was in it 14 years.
That's great.
In the field as a journeyman for 11 years. And then teaching for the last 16 years. But I just, the guys that I have working with me, they have spent their entire careers doing line work. And I remember when I started working at Kansas City Power and Light, we were in a meeting and they said, all you guys are going to get done with your apprenticeship. You'll be gone in 2 years. And I thought, oh my God, I don't want to be out of a job in 2 years. I want a job.
Yes.
So 22 years later is when I left Kansas City Power and Light. So, I don't know if people are in there for the long haul like they used to be. Generation has changed and work practices have certainly changed.
And then, Susan, what do you see in the future in terms of opportunities or challenges for the students who are in your program right now?
Oh, for them, the opportunities will be endless because you're never going to get rid of natural disasters. Between the fires and the hurricanes and tornadoes and everything, it just can't be done without being done by man. The drones and everything else that are going on, it's just going to get smarter, which means I won't have to climb that 100-foot pole to look for defect. I'll send the drone up So I skipped this one. I'll have to climb the next one, but I'm not going to have to climb this one. And I think that's going to be to their advantage. I think there's so much. I talked to a gentleman that was down doing the hurricane work, and he said they were setting poles with helicopters.
Yeah.
Almost all of it, just to get it in there.
Yes, because the terrain was so difficult to access.
If you could figure out how to make a drone set of poles and didn't have to have a helicopter, that'd be a hell of a drone. They were taking P-line across the trees and over the lake or creek and over to the other side and dropping it, then pulling the bull wire over, then pulling the wire in. And I'm thinking, how smart is that? Because we would have been hoofing it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think they're doing a lot with drone inspections too. They have these scout drones that can diagnose the problem so that when line crews roll out, they know exactly what they're responding to. Did you ever think when you first started out in the line trade that there would ever be something flying through the air that would be inspecting the lines?
No, but we had infrared cameras, and the drones do infrared. Yeah, as long as they can't find a drone that hand digs a hole.
I think your jobs are totally solid because you're always going to need line workers. And Susan, is there anything else that you'd like to say on this episode to our Line Life podcast listeners?
Well, I want to say congratulations to the International Linemen's Rodeo 40th anniversary that we have going on this weekend. And if you guys have a chance to get out to Bonner Springs, to where the Renaissance Festival is, or the Agricultural Hall of Fame, that's where the Linemen's Rodeo is. Lots of kid stuff going on, and you can see the best of the best.
So, Susan, what is your favorite memory from all the years you've been at the International Linemen's Rodeo?
Bringing my 7-year-old daughter out, and they used to have a platform where they climbed up on it, put a belt on, and put a hard hat on, and it looked like they were linemen climbing a pole.
Oh, how cute. Well, this year they're going to have a kids linemen's rodeo where the children actually get to compete. What do you think about that?
That is awesome. That'll be fun.
Thank you for joining me today, Susan. I always love talking to you. Also at the International Linemen's Rodeo, we've had a few female competitors over the years that I've been covering the line trade. But in 2025, they had their very first all-female journeyman team. They will be highlighted in a story called Team Trios in our March 2026 issue of Teen D World magazine. So make sure you check that out and listen for an audio story to be on linelife.podbean.com in the near future. And if you are listening to this Line Life podcast and you are in the International Linemen's Hall of Fame, I'd love to interview you. I will be at the International Linemen's Expo in the Teen D World booth this October. So make sure you swing by and talk to me. And if you're a student, apprentice, or journeyman line worker, and you have some stories you want to share with our listeners about your years in the line trade, I'd love to talk to you. You can swing by the booth, or you can email me at afischbach@endeavorb2b.com, and we can set up a remote interview before the Linemen's Rodeo Week this fall, and I will feature it on a future episode of the Line Life podcast. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Line Life podcast, produced by Endeavor Business Media, a division of Endeavor B2B. Be sure to subscribe or follow the Line Life podcast in your favorite podcasting app so new episodes will be delivered straight to you. For more insights, you can visit our website at tdworld.com/podcasts or linelife.podbean.com. You can also connect with us by following us on Instagram at Lineman World or on Facebook, LinkedIn, or X. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Line Life podcast.